Welcome back to Season 2 of Generation Gaming. I'm Maddrequiem, representing retro and classic gamers.
I am Djkokoro, who will lead the charge for the new generation gamers.
Hi, I'm Aleah Skye, the new feature of Generation Gaming. I was brought in to represent the YouTube and Twitch gamers, who's lit and how to set up shop.
Here at Generation Gaming, our mission is to unite gamers of different generations and platforms with our common love for gaming.
Alright, so good afternoon, guys. This is Generation Gaming. We are here to talk about monster games.
Alright, so let's introduce ourselves again.
I'm Djkokoro speaking right now, and my co-host,
Maddrequiem.
And Aleah Skye.
And today our guest is
Mirby, I'm back.
welcome back.
Mirby from Mirby Studios.
Well, the gang is back, so alright, so let's start with our first topic, where monster games is Digimon. Digimon.
Alright, so let's play that beautiful Digimon track first. And just play the music. It is Digimon, I just don't know what game it's from.
It's
Oh, that sounds like 2.
well, it says it's a Digimon World
Yeah, it's Digimon World 2.
2.
I'm pretty sure it's 2. Alright, as I was saying, we're only doing samplers today because a certain company decided to scream at me earlier today.
Really?
Yeah, Land of Confusion actually got taken off of YouTube access to all places in America because I used, we're going to need to change the name of our show, by the way.
There's another show called Land of Confusion?
No, the people who did Land of Confusion, Disturbed, copyright infringed us.
That's not what happened.
Well, it's for using the song too.
Yeah, but your name is fine.
Oh, you think our name is still fine?
Yeah, the name's
just 'cause you
fine.
used
It's
the
the song.
Suffice to say, we got in trouble for
It's not
doing
really
that.
trouble, it's just slap on the wrist.
Shame on you. Anyways,
And
back
that is
to
why
our
I don't
game.
use music in any of my content.
Yeah, we should just stop using music, period.
Or you could
for
just
our
go
content.
to epidemicsound.com
Or
for
use
free
any of the
music.
songs
Well,
I tell you to, because those are all royalty free and you won't get in trouble for them like the ones we use
Yeah,
on our stream.
exactly. Well, I don't know what we could do for music for political, so I think we should just make an intro. Anyways, that's a different show entirely. Let's go back to Digimon. So, Digimon.
well,
Okay, what are your experiences, Ray, with Digimon?
let's see. Well, if I have to be honest, I have never played any Digimon games. I just watched the anime.
Same.
I was giving you guys a chance. A real chance.
What? How can we get a chance if we don't have?
Well, first of all, it was first done on PlayStation
Oh, that's what
in the
you meant.
year 2000-ish, so I would think that you guys would have actually had the ability to play. You're not that young.
Well, I watched the anime, but I didn't like the game or the anime, so I'm just
Well,
like...
yeah, everyone was turned off by World 1.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Except
let's...
for the music.
Except for the music.
I
So,
think they just got stolen by Pokemon.
Pokemon had better advertisement and had a idiot. So everyone wanted to prove they could be a better Pokemon trainer than Ash. Which by choosing anything but Bulbasaur already proves that you're better than Ash. Okay, I'm just kidding.
And then that just
No.
proves-
Let's focus on Digimon. Okay, so Love, can you tell us about your experiences with Digimons? Start chronologically.
Honestly, the first Digimon games I ever played, the first games I played were Digimon World, Dawn and Dusk, which which were in Japan. They're known as a separate series called Digimon Story. See, the way the Digimon games work is the original Digimon World came out, and it was, basically, you have a Digimon. It won't listen to you. Hope it listens. Oh, no, it's dead. You have a Numamon. It was very hard to get into. And then, for the PlayStation, they released Digimon World 2, which was more of a dungeon crawler. And then, that was like that. Digimon World 3 was different. Digimon World 4 was like a completely different game. So they made Digimon Story. The first one was released on the DS here as Digimon World DS because they thought the World subtitle would sell more. Then Dawn and Dusk came out, which was more of an in-depth RPG. So, there's different styles depending on what you're trying to get into. And that's kind of a strength of the Digimon series is that, it's vulnerable to a bunch of different styles. And in the first anime, they even mentioned, there's a bunch of different parallel worlds. So, because of that, they have the framework in place within the lore for any style of game to be placed within it. And honestly, I love Digimon. It's fun.
All right, so let me talk about the technical issues with Digimon. All right, so how it works was in Digimon World 1, you had a Digimon automatically. And what you did was you had to answer personality questions. These personality questions determines to the game whether you'd be better playing a Gabumon or a Agumon. Eventually, your Digimon would die either during combat or would die of old age, at which point it would completely transform into a new baby Digimon, into a new rookie, and back to a new champion. Getting Mega and Ultimate back then was very hard to do, which is why a lot of people were actually turned off by the Digimon series because its difficulty versus Pokemon,
So it's not
which
user
had come
friendly.
out. It was not user-friendly at all. It was about as user-friendly as Pokemon Red. Yeah. So also you had your Digimon and you only had one Digimon versus 6 Pokemon. What?
Let's go as user-friendly as Pokemon Green, the one in Japan.
Yeah, it's user-friendly as Pokemon
Before
Green.
they fixed it a little bit to bring it here.
That sounds much better. Yeah, let's reference to Green, how sucky it was. Okay, go back. So Digimon World 2 was the basis of, hey, we could do a dungeon crawler. And instead of throwing balls at these guys' face, how about we throw presents that they would like? So how Digimon 2 worked was there was 3 organizations, all within the same city, all with the same task. Just different means of completing that task. The vaccines, also known as the Golden Hawks, were all about bringing the light to the world and healing people. The Datas were about being even and bringing law to the world. Meanwhile, the viruses, also known as Black Sword, who I play all the time, of course, like to do it a more vicious way of destroy the evil ones and have fun while doing it. Use darkness to destroy darkness. The way how it worked in the cities was based off what organization you were working for, you could easily pick up that type of Digimon, and you could only fuse with the weaker version. You couldn't fuse with the stronger versions. The virus beats data, data beats vaccine, vaccine beats virus. If you did Black Sword, you could not combine your vaccines with your viruses until you got to Data City. You had input here?
It's important to note that within Digimon, there is that trifecta where if that was touched upon with the 3 teams between virus, data, and vaccine. What is it? Virus or data takes out vaccine, vaccine takes out virus, virus takes out data.
So it's basically a rock, paper, scissors.
It's
Yes.
a rock, paper, scissors. There was also an elemental tree, but there was way too many no element creatures, and the damage caused. The attacks were not labeled as what element they were just suggested, so it's very difficult to do a strategical thing.
Yeah,
It was more of a, what
almost like
3
an
Digimon
RNG,
do you want to go through the game with? That's who you'd pick. Unlike Pokemon, where I can't choose to do all 6 Magikarps and win unless if I really cheaty pants. I know of your ways, you little 100 Magikarp user. Evil. All
You
right.
sure about it?
I think it's messed up. Digimon has always been the concept of no Digimon is stronger than another other than ranking up. All right. So then there's, what was it? Digimon World 3. So in World 3, you get 3 Digimon, and you're actually playing a video game.
A video game inside a video game.
A video game inside a video game, exactly. It's like, hey, Meta, hi, I want a hug. So the concept is, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but you get kidnapped, but you think you're just playing a game. So it gets really ridiculous, and the boss is, what did you call it, babe? What was the boss?
Approximately 18 levels of BS.
BS indeed. I mean, the tail went down so easily. You think the rest of the boss would? No, I got my ass handed to me so bad.
Wait. How is it BS anyways?
Huh?
As a person that did not play this game, how is it
Cheat
BS?
in every possible way.
He cheated. Okay, the tail just went out in like 3 hits.
First form.
But the second form, his true form, he steals your strongest attack and he uses it. He spams it constantly against you. There was a counter ability which I abused the shit out of in the first. That is not a bad word. Stop it. I abused the crap out of it in the first. When I was running through it, and how it works is they hit me with a physical attack and I reverse the damage back onto them, and if I have an elemental item equipped, I actually deal additional damage.
Don't you double the damage with your counter?
No, you don't. It's the same damage, only increased by the elemental damage. That's why I was doing so much ridiculous damage, just because I always had the elemental chip that I needed. But this guy evades your attack, so he takes no damage, and then he counters you for double damage.
Oh,
Also,
goodness.
he counters your magical attacks, which is not how the counter ability works for you at all.
Exactly. All right, so Digimon World 4 was like Gauntlet Legends skin of Digimon, so we're not going to talk about it because it was technically not a Monster Collection game.
Up to 4-player beat 'em up, but yeah, you play as the Digimon, and that's why it's not really monster collecting. You just stick with one character. So.
All right, then as she said, there was the Digimon game we don't speak of, DS.
We already spoke of the one we don't speak of.
It was just so badly. It was like, hi, we forgot how to make games again. And then Dusk came out, and I hate the criticism for Dusk. The criticism for Dusk is, it's almost like you rewrote the first game. No shit, Sherlock. They rewrote the first game, and they made it even better. They, fixed every issue. They took every issue you whined about, and they fixed it in this game.
And then any issue you had with that, they fixed in this Japan-only sequel, follow-up, Digimon Story Lost Evolution, and added even more features.
Which never came to America because apparently we whined about how bad Dusk was. And I'm like, Dusk was fantastic. Dusk was beautiful. Why can't you give Digimon a chance? Okay, and then Cyber Sleuth came out. No?
So, after Digimon Story Lost Evolution came out, there was also another Digimon World game called Championship, which was crud, and we don't talk about it because it was crud. Then
Why are you talking about it?
Yeah, don't talk about it, babe.
Fair enough. Then there was also, after that, based on Cross Wars, which was the 6th season, released here as Digimon Fusion. There was games related to that in the Digimon story called Super Cross Wars Red and Blue, which never made it here. Were kind of inferior to Lost Evolution. I'm not done yet.
Don't talk about games that weren't released here.
But I'm just explaining something really quick.
Just go.
And then, so there was also a Digimon, there was a PSP game that was kind of monster collecting ish, based on the first season of the anime that I really want. It never got here. But I'm just saying, explaining, there was all these games released in Japan, but due to the poor sales of Dawn and Dusk and the criticisms, they never made it here until Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth for the Vita, which was released over here on Vita and PS4.
So it's recently, yeah?
Recent, yes. And they even localized it specifically as Digimon Story. Remember I mentioned the DS ones were technically Digimon Story games?
Mm-hmm.
They're acknowledging it as such because that came out Same gameplay mechanics, a lot better graphics, interesting story, and you still collect them. The nice thing about the Digimon story games is, unlike Pokemon, it's kind of, you can freely revert to previous forms. Not to mention a lot of Digimon, it's not just like, Pokemon has some branching evolutions, but Digimon is literally all about that. You'll see a Digimon and you'll be like, I can become this, this, or this. Then you can become that. But with Digimon Story, there's an aptitude level, which I think is just called max level or something at Cyber Sleuth.
Yeah.
Which is a cap of high level you can. And you may see when you're going through it, oh, I want to become this thing next, but I literally cannot because its level requirement is higher than my cap. So what you do is revert to a previous form, go somewhere else on the tree to increase that cap.
Oh.
And then you just go throughout the tree until and building up stats and levels and everything, skills carry over between forms, and you pretty much get to build your perfect team with abilities that maybe they would not normally get because, you went so far off on another tree.
Alright, so the idea is basically backtracking, and it's a beautiful way to... Oh, the best part is you get to keep what moves you want from each of these evolutions.
What the?
So you actually are getting, like, mega level attacks on these little babies who also have stats that are equal to mega level.
No, that's BS.
It's not BS, it's just how you build the game.
It's not BS because you have to work hard for it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need to get a high levels in order to get to those megas.
You need ridiculous amount of stats to be able to beat the game.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it also, it's... well, you guys said, when you digivolve, your stats get reduced down to like 10% of what it currently is, right?
Oh, okay, that's fair
and
then.
you always start off as level 1, whether you're digivolving into a higher form or de-digivolving into a lower form.
Yeah. All right. Oh, also, when you digivolve and when you de-digivolve, you return to level 1.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Which is a beautiful thing because that means you have easy access to get back up to level 10.
And one more thing to mention. At the end of last month, we finally got the most recent Digimon World game, Next Order, where you have 2 partners. And that is like the style of the original Digimon. I also forgot to mention redigitized, but that didn't come out here.
No
But it is incredibly user-friendly. It's like they've paid attention to all the complaints from the first one for the past 17 years, and are like, we can make this better. Like, I'm actually enjoying it. It is very user-friendly, very easy to get into. The mechanics are easily explained. It's great.
For PS Vita...
And it's not for Vita. The Vita version actually didn't make it here.
Oh, damn it.
They made it for PS4. Revamped the entire graphical system, overhauled, made it look beautiful. Like, one of the examples in the Vita, you're in like a canyon-like area, and there's a bridge, and it's a very rickety fence with like 2 boards and like stakes in the ground, and a bridge in the distance. In the PS4 version, it's a very well-rendered fence. You see the bridge, it's now a suspension bridge like the Golden Gate, just made out of wood. There's like some digital artifact, waterfall type things go along each side. They overhauled the graphs and just made it look so much more beautiful than it did
So
originally.
this rework, do you recommend it for people that really want to play Digimon?
Yes.
Really?
It's very easy to get into. Everything's easily explained. I mean, it explains all the systems to you. And there's little baby Digimon around the main town, Floatia, that if you talk to, they'll just be like, what do you want to know? And you just talk to them and they explain various details. So if you forget what
it's
you're
not
doing,
so now it's a user-friendly kind of remake.
incredibly, yes.
Yes, it's incredibly user-friendly. Okay, let's go on to changing our subject to Pokemon so that we can finish this in one episode, hopefully.
Yeah,
A
we
topic
kinda-
I actually know about.
Yes,
Well,
but we're
sorry
going
about
to skip along. Just talk about each one individually,
So we're just gonna do a little skimming on each generation.
each generation. Basically, talking about the improvements. Who was your favorite Pokemon?
And
Let's do what was the improvement? Who's your favorite Pokemon? And until we get to Gen 7, there's no point in talking about the way the game plays because they're all the same.
So here I am gonna play Pokemon X and Y music, just a little bit before. So that was 30 seconds of Pokemon X and Y music.
That will set the mood for our Pokemoning. Okay, so I played the original Red. It was the first game I ever beat in my life.
I
Sad
played
face.
Blue.
But Red was just, I mean, in comparison to the other games, it was just totally flawed in every way.
Flawed?
Flawed.
There's actually a graphic that, with a little bit of searching, you can find explaining how many issues were wrong with Red and Blue. Obviously, I don't have it on hand and I don't have it memorized, but it's a good sized chunk. It's because it was poorly optimized when they were programming it.
Yes. And she will tell you the wonders of Silver after we're finished with Red. So my favorite first-gen Pokemon was Charmander.
Of course, it will be Charmander.
My favorite first gen, that's a tough pick, but just because I don't know what I picked during that whole thing I did in December. But I'm just going to say Pidgey because I had a Pidgey in a later game that destroyed something that was strong against it elementally and also 30 levels higher than it. It was fully evolved at that point, but still, Pidgey's rock.
All right, so Leah?
I guess my first gen would have to be Squirtle.
All right,
She
and
destroys you.
yeah, she destroys me. Why have you betrayed me?
I love my Squirtle. I actually have my Squirtle on my Pokemon Go. That's my partner right now.
All right, so Ray?
Favorite Pokemon or favorite starter Pokemon?
First gen.
Just,
Specifically first gen.
Okay, so any of the Pokemon, not starter nor...
just any of them in Gen 1.
If I remember correctly, it would be Dratini.
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 Dratini is a good answer.
Good choice.
All right, so how first gen worked was you fought 8 gym battles, you captured 6 Pokemon within little balls that you threw at their faces. Throwing
Right
my
between the
balls
eye.
in your face, yeah. I mean, gotta get them all Pokemon.
Let's enslave them all. Yeah.
All right, so then we went on to second gen, and how second gen worked was not only did you fight the 8 gyms, which were completely different gens, ooh, but then they had the Elite Four, and after the Elite Four, you went back to Kento to fight the 8 gyms again. So here's Mirby to explain how that happened.
So I mentioned that Gen 1 was very poorly optimized. There were a lot of, moves that didn't work as they should. Pokemon didn't learn moves they should. Like Charizard couldn't learn fly, for instance. He's a flying type. He couldn't fly. But Gen 2 came along. Gen 2 came along, and it was still being poorly optimized because Game Freak at that time were not the best of coders. The late Satoru Iwata came in, from HAL Laboratory because they weren't able to get it down. He was able to compress the code into pretty much half the size, enough for them to fit the entire Kanto region along with new encounters and everything into what was left over on that tiny Game Boy cartridge. For reference, the largest Game Boy Color game is 8 megabytes. So by today's standards, if he was able to free up that many space and free that, and they had that much little space to work with, which was nowhere near that much, it wasn't even a megabyte. He did a lot of compression. But basically, it's because each Pokemon game exists in a region. Gen 1 was Kanto, Gen 2 is Johto, which is just to the west of Kanto. So he was able to kind of, with his extra space free, do that. Gen 2 also introduced 2 new types, Dark and Steel, because, was it Psychic type? Yeah, Psychic type was a bit overpowered in Gen 1. So they were able to kind of get that to work too.
So they needed a counter, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, Mirby, so your favorite second gen?
Second gen Pokemon would probably be Come Back to Me.
Oh, I heard
All
that
right,
Pokemon.
so-
Isn't he really strong?
Aleah, second gen?
I'm trying to remember. I guess Pikachu. I guess that. But
That's Gen 1. That's Gen 1.
that's Gen 1 still.
Pikachu.
I never really kept count with all the gens.
Just say Pichu. You know you want to. You
Pichu.
love the babies.
Oh God.
You want to.
Well, it was either that or Mowith.
Meowth. That's Gen
Meowth.
1.
Meowth is Gen 1. We're teasing her about her Poke knowledge.
It's very broken up in somewhere.
Yeah, it's hard to tell Gen 1
Honestly,
from
she
Gen 2.
means Peekaboo, a.k.a. Meryl.
Oh.
Wait, let me get my Pokemon book.
All right, let's go to Ray. Ray, Do you know who your second gen Pokemon favorite was?
Well, for me to answer that, I'm looking up.
Cheater. 'Cause I thought the same thing too.
I love how no one comes prepared for these things.
Well, Generation Gaming, let's find
So, okay, then I'm
Okay.
going to say what my favorite second gen Pokemon is. It was Umbreon. I loved the EV evolutions, and Umbreon was my favorite EV evolution. And I will explain why. Because Espeon is a Bake Nico or a Mato Nico. Either way, it's a dead cat that has a split tail. The thing that pisses me off about this is that they have a ghost type, and yet they chose to make the Bake Nico Mata Nico. Ray, could you fix that real fast? They made this thing that's clearly a dead cat into a psychic type instead of a ghost type when they've already established a ghost type. Did they even add any ghost types to second gen?
I think Misdreavus.
No, Misdreavus was 3. Was it 3? Wait.
No. I don't
Was
know.
Misdreavus 2?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, well, then I changed my mind. It's Misdreavus.
Or
Yay for pure ghost types. Yay.
so
The poison typing on Gengar just totally screwed him over.
I finished looking it up, and I finally secured this. Guys are Gen 2. Before you tease me for my Pokemon knowledge.
Okay, wait. Prepare the teasing. Hold your fire!
So it's either these 3: Suicune, Lugia, or Celebi.
Okay, you get to live this time.
It's me who's gonna die.
It is. I mean, what? You're not gonna
I
die?
got a Natu, nice.
Is this Gen 2?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Okay, so a Natu is my favorite Gen, only because I just caught it. It looks really cute.
Are you playing Pokemon Go while we're doing the show?
Why not? We're talking about Pokemon anyways.
I needed to look up. Oh, by the way, go Team Instinct.
No.
I just made a ton of enemies. I don't care.
It's fine, babe. Alright, so Gen 2, babe?
My favorite Gen 2, I'm just gonna go with Teddy Ursa. He's a teddy bear, and he evolves into a giant grizzly bear who will kill you.
Unlike Beware, who will just completely and utterly cut you in half, but you'll still live somehow. All right, so onwards to Gen of the third color. Okay, so Ruby and Sapphire came out, and when Ruby and Sapphire, Crystal came out way before.
Yes.
Then there was Crystal, and Crystal was awesome. That's all I'm going to say about Crystal.
It also introduced the female player character that you could pick.
Yes. So Gen 3 happens, and in Gen 3, new concept, you actually have a dad.
Oh, that.
And your dad happens to be the gym leader, which is why he's never home. So unlike other deadbeat Pokemon dads, this dad has a job that keeps him away from work.
Away from home.
We finally solved the mystery of the dads.
He's much more interactive in the Omega Sapphire.
The remix.
Yeah, the remix. Okay, so we're not going to talk about the remixes either because there's no point. So, Gen 3 favorite guy was...
For you first.
Okay, I'm thinking about what Gen 3 was. Oh, Ralts. Ralts by so far.
Oh,
Ralts was the cutest psychic type ever,
With
and
the
I'm
bowl
so glad that they made him a fairy type.
Oh, yeah, did they change that?
It just
right?
makes it so much better when I have a male... a male...
Gardevoir.
Gardevoir, because it's like, you are a fairy, that's right.
But I'm a guy.
Hey, I like fairies. And flamers for that reason.
And my favorite would be Spheal and Walrein, because I have a Walrein and he is the Walrus of Doom.
He is quite doomy.
I also want to touch upon another quick little gameplay enhancement.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll hurry through it. Quick little game. So in Gens 1 and 2, when you caught a Pokemon after you had 6 in your party, they would be sent to a box, but it was very primitive. You had, every time you switch boxes, you had to save your game. And, you weren't able to just freely see what it is. You had to scroll down a list. Gen 3 revamped the box system. You'd be able to scroll through, see them all as visual indicators instead of just names. and it made it a lot easier to find what Pokemon you have. Gen 3 also introduced, it was full color too, so, it looked a lot better. And, yeah.
Aleah?
All right.
Porygon 2?
Is Gen 2.
Are you kidding me?
This
lies.
after 251.
Well, we'll skip Aleah for now because she's searching.
All right, so go on to Ray. Ray, your Gen 3 Pokemon choice in this?
My choice, or what I chose to be my favorite, is Cast Form.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes. The takes whatever element he wants for the weather, also known as Tits McGee or Balchinian. Okay, so Aleah, do we need to come back to you later? We need to speed up. So onwards to 4. All right, so 4 was by far a lot of people's least favorite of the gens, right?
Yeah, I like the region, but the designs were just kind of mediocre for me, for my tastes.
All right, so 4 had such a hard choice for stars for me because they're both on my top 10 list. Chimchar, who is basically a representation of Sun Wukong.
Son Goku.
Sun Wukong.
I know, I'm just messing with
You
you.
know who you're getting at.
Yeah, who is the Monkey King. And then there's Turtwig, who is the Island Turtle, which is by far my favorite turtle of all time.
He has a 3 in his bag.
Okay, we're going to mute Ray now. So, my love, what's your favorite 4th gen?
4th gen would not be Lucario. I think he's overrated. My favorite Gen 4 Pokemon would have to be, I'd say, either Leafeon or Glaceon. Both EV evolutions were nice there. I'd also like to touch more really quick. Gen 4 also revamped the stat system. Prior to that point, you had a special attack stat and a normal attack stat, and it was tied specifically to what type the move was. Whereas Gen 4 introduced Split It, so you'd have some moves that Fire was all special before, right?
Yeah, Fire was all special, now it's physical.
And similarly, Fighting was all physical, so some moves could be special. So that way, you can have much more variety in builds for Pokemon.
It also meant you could build specifically on the attack stat for such things as Infermate, who now had physical fire and physical fighting types. Okay, Aleah, do you have a Type 3 or Type 4 ready for us? Did you want to skip you?
Hush, because you looked it up too.
What are you talking about?
He
Okay.
knew 3 off the top of
Okay,
his head.
guys.
Okay, I can name them off the top of my head, but they're all Generation 1.
Okay, so we're going to go on to 5.
Wait, you haven't told my 4th yet.
Okay, what's your 4?
Well, my 4th will be Weasel.
Weavile?
Weavile?
Weasel!
I actually know what that one is, yes.
Weasel, the evolution, evolves into Floatzel.
Yeah.
Isn't the original Ferret, though? Or the Ferret?
You could argue that Ferret, Zigzagoon's evolution, is a ferret.
What?
I'm not on the mic.
Oh.
You could argue that a ferret was the first ferret, but Breezel and therefore Floatzel was more of the type that, like swimming in water and stuff, which is well known that some ferrets do love that.
See, I do know what I'm talking about.
Yes, there's been many redones of the same type, such as the fact the Sentry was a mongoose, and it was also, it wasn't a mongoose, it was prairie dog, who they later released in 5 also, and a raccoon, and evolved into a ferret, and there was Zigzagoon, who was a raccoon, who evolved into a ferret.
It happens.
It happens. All right, on to 5. 5 was the first gen to say, screw all the other gens, you're only getting our gen Pokemon, which kind of brought a lot of people to get pissed off about the game too. Was there any significant changes to 5, babe?
Well, in terms of the setting, 5 is the first region to not be based off of any part of Japan. It's actually based off of the New York metropolitan area. Victory Road is the Bronx.
I also like to point out that 5 has my favorite gym leaders, and the reason for that is because they actually give a crap about the fact that Team Plasma is doing bad stuff, and the gym leaders are the ones actually fighting against them. In fact, in Pokemon Origins, you can see a really, really awesome battle between Pokemon Generations, you can see a really awesome battle between the gym leaders and Team Plasma. All right, does anyone have a favorite 5th gen? Mine is Purloin.
Mine is
Not Purloin.
Yeah, Purloin.
Purloin? No, I thought Purloin was the evolved form.
No, that's Lightbird.
Okay, yes, Purloin.
So mine would be Sawsbuck.
Sawsbuck, the
Yes,
seasonal deer, yes.
Yay, you figured out different than one gen.
Mine would have to be Darmanitan.
I'm done. I can't deal with these people no more.
He is awesome.
And your reason why you like Darmanitan?
I can't actually say on air.
Ooh, bad shame. All right, so Ray, 5th gen. Who you liking? Zekrom. Okay.
Zekrom.
That would be the zebra with the lightning bolts, yes?
No, that's Substrika.
No.
Zekrom is the Thunder Dragon.
Oh, Thunder Dragon. Thunder!
Paired with Reshiram.
Okay, so on to, well, there was a 5.2.
Yeah, that was significant.
It was significant. So that changed up the order of gym leaders. It also changed in some different gym leaders. And the storyline was actually a continuation of 5.
It also, unlike Black and White, where it was just strictly until post-game you can only catch Gen 5 Pokemon, it also sparked...
other than Gen 5 Pokemon.
You can only catch Gen 5 Pokemon in that, I'm saying.
Sorry.
But in Black and White 2, you can catch its previous generation Pokemon are scattered all around. Now, I'd also like to mention, because I never got to because I had Blue, Black and White 2 was the first time I ever had the chance to raise a Growlithe into Arcanine.
Okay. So, well, 5th gen is 5th gen, so we're not going to talk about our favorite Pokemon. So we're going to move on. 6th gen. 6th gen introduced the idea of Mega Evolutions, aka the worst idea that Pokemon's ever done. I mean, no offense, but the Z Stones are just such a better concept than the Mega Evolutions.
The Z moves?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 6th gen, the concept was you are in France. You have a professor who doesn't understand that his friend is a lunatic. And you actually have the first time you actually have an evil person. Everyone else is trying to take the world. Lysander's like, I'm going to make the world beautiful by watching it burn.
He's not homicidal. He's omnicidal. He wants to kill everything except like 10% of the humans that he picks. Anyways, Gen 6 introduced the Fairy type, the first time we had a new type since Gen 2, and that was to offset the Dragon type, which had been very OP. In addition, through that, it also gave the Poison type, which was severely underutilized, more utility.
It did indeed, because Poison now had something that was super effective against other than Grass, who was also Poison type, that made it...
Often, yeah.
Yeah. So favorite 6th gen Pokemon would have to be...
Well,
Panda.
That's mine.
No.
Go ahead. Pangoro.
Pangoro specifically, because he's a gangster boss with a heart of gold.
Known as Banchos traditionally in Japan.
Bancho.
Mine, I would say Pangoro because he's one of my favorite, but Maddrequiem took that.
You can have the same favorite.
No, I'm going to pick Tyrantrum and Tyrant. Finally, we have a fossil Pokemon that's a friggin' T-Rex. I'd also like to point out several of the Gen 6 Pokemon, including Pangoro and Tyrantrum, were designed by Hitoshi Ariga, known for his Rockman, Megamix, and Gigamix mangas.
Rockman?
Megaman. He's
Mecha
known as
Man.
Rockman in Japan, but he's well known for his art style there. So the fact he contributed some Pokemon designs that were really good, that are my favorites, I just like pointing that out.
All right, so favorite 6?
Aleah?
Goomy.
Goomy.
It's a dragon type. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. So, Ray?
Well, for me, I'm going to go meta Greninja. Just kidding. I'll go for Zygrade.
Yeah, Greninja's pretty
Zygarde.
awesome.
Zygrade? Well,
Oh my god, I have betrayed
third
Greninja
dragon.
by not
Zygarde.
mentioning him.
Zygarde, I mean.
Yeah, I
Zygarde.
don't know.
I don't know how to really
Okay.
pronounce his name.
So then 7 happened, and instead of having gym battles, you had what was called island trials, and you had several trials, and each of these trials gave you a stone that gave you a super move for each type. Each type has a stone, plus there was additional stones for specific Pokemon.
Yeah, for instance, each of your 3 starters got a Z-Stone that... So normally, for most Z-Stones, any of the basic elemental ones, as long as you have a move of that type, you can use it. but the Pokemon-specific ones require specific moves. Sometimes they're very simple and basic, but for your starters, you need their special move. But for other ones like Snorlax, he just needs Giga Impact. You can learn that via TM, which teaches Pokemon-specific moves. Or Mew just needs Psychic. And that animation is the first time you ever see Mew get friggin' pissed. It's hilarious. But Gen 7 is also... Gen 5 tried the whole... We only have our Pokemon here. But Gen 7 is notable for the fact it has no in-game Pokedex. Or National Pokedex. You specifically can only catch the 301 that are included in the game.
Alright, we need to clean up. So, our favorite Gen 7 Pokemon would have to be... Mine was the... Actually, I would say the poisonous... what was his name? Marine time? Marini.
I'd say my favorite really quick, but I also want to touch upon Gen 7 also has introduced regional form Pokemon, the Alola Pokemon.
Alola.
Which are Generation 1 Pokemon, but they have adapted to their new region. For instance, Sandshrew, who is traditionally just a ground type, is now an Ice Steel type.
Okay. What's your favorite?
My favorite Gen 7, honestly, from what I have to go with Litten, the kitty.
Oh, the
who
fire...
evolves into Incineroar, the heel.
The fire cat.
Alright, so...
I haven't got that far, so...
Okay.
Well, for me... I would say...
Ow. Okay, let's ignore that. Just go right.
For me, I would say... Well, because in the new generation, most of the Pokemons are very funny, so I base them in like hilarious types. So I'll say Gumshoes because it reminds me of someone politically, and you hate him so much.
I don't hate anyone. I just dislike him and want bad things to happen to him. There's a difference. All right, so do we have time to even cover the other two games?
8 minutes.
Okay, so quick little reference. I'm just going to reference Monster Ranchers, and then we're just going to save Shin Megami Tensei for our spooky episodes. All right, so here's how Monster Rancher works. Monster Rancher, the original game, worked on a concept that was new to people. So originally, PS1 has done this before, where you open up the game, you pull out the game disc, and you put in the second game disc, or the third game disc, or sometimes the fourth game disc because you're playing Final Fantasy. In Monster Rancher, here's how it's different. You put in any CD-ROM at all. Any CD. Any game, any music CD, any edited CD yourself. As long as it's a readable CD-ROM, it will be read and it will produce a monster for you based off that CD-ROM. Now, when they went to Game Boy Advance, they couldn't have you taking out games. So instead, you got a 4-letter word to put in.
So, the interesting thing about Monster Rancher is there are specific rare monsters you could get if you put specific versions of the discs in. And this continued on to PlayStation 2 with Monster Rancher 3 or 4. In fact, in Monster Rancher 4, one of my favorites, so Monster Rancher has several types of groups of monsters. And all the monsters you collect are recolors, essentially, in that family. And there's one called Mochi, who is also pretty much of a mascot. If you put in Monster Rancher 4, if you put in Austin Powers and Gold member, you actually got an Austin Powers themed Mochi. And then, similarly, but they couldn't really do special monsters like that, Monster Rancher Advance 2. So again, the password system with a 4 to 8 letter character thing, depending on how far you got in the game, as the more you progress, the more letters you could put in. But, so you could also have fun with that.
Alrighty. So... Yes. So it was actually a very unique way. The battle system also worked off the distance you were from the monster in front of you. If you were a short distance away, you could use one move. If you were a medium distance away, you could use another move, or a long distance away. And the idea was running back and forth on the battlefield to put yourself in that position so that you can use the attack that you want to use. Alright, so how long do we got?
We still have 5 minutes.
All right, so in our 5-minute chat, I think we can do Shin Megami in 5 minutes. So let's do this.
Touch upon it.
We're going to touch upon it. We're going to touch
3,
the
2,
darker
1.
adult side.
Go.
All right, so here's how it works. The world has ended. In pretty much every single version of Shin Megami Tensei, the world has ended.
The main series. Yeah.
You are now doomed to live in a world filled with demons. I don't remember anything before 3. Was Nocturne 3?
Yes.
Oh, wait, there was Nocturne. In Nocturne, you're invited to a hospital. Everyone in that hospital lives, but everyone else in the world dies. So how it works is you get given a worm that turns you into a demidemon, and thus you have to go around making deals with other demons to try to either save or destroy the world based on your own personal beliefs. 4, you had lawful, chaotic, and neutral.
Shin Megami Tensei 4, you start off, the world has ended already below, but you don't know that yet. And so you're just in a peaceful Eastern Japan feudal area style kingdom, and you get chosen by a gauntlet, then you go and discover the truth of the world. And you can either save it, continue it, or, just it's based upon your choices. I'd also like to touch upon there are several side games within this series which work on the same idea, such as Demi Kids, which is very kid-friendly. The demons you gather are very cartoony. But then there's also the very well-known Persona series, which is an offshoot. Still the same demons, but instead of demons, they're personas that you collect. So and it's all about, making deals with them. Do you want them to take the life of one of your demons? Do you want to pay them? Do they want an item? It's all about bartering and figuring out what they want, answering questions they may or may not have.
Now, most of them have the battle system of 4 team members, all fighting demons at the same time with a back and forth play of this is your turn, this is your turn, this is your turn. However, there is a offshoot branch called Devil Survivor, and in Devil Survivor, you're actually playing the tactics version of the game, where the concept is just now the end of the world, and your cousin having to send you a 3DS that gives you the power to actually capture and fight demons.
And of course, there are several other styles within the series, just like that.
All right, so this is going to be our time for the show. Let's lead off with some beautiful music.
Oh.
The Shin Megami Tensei music. Do it.
All right.